Hello, Forecaster here again, and we are back for episode 74. And I believe I've made all of the things I need to finish the nuclear reactor. At least I hope so. So I've made my goggles and the signal tuner. I've made the additional boxes, and as you can see, I've made some components. And as before, I had to make some of these by destroying the parts and spawning in them like these extra overclocked heat vents and these component heat exchangers. Not the component heat vents though, they were craftable the proper way. You'll see I put the screens in down here, one with a normal card in it and the other one with a 5x5 card. I forget if I showed that or not. I've also devised a reactor design, which I have tested in the let's turn off cheat mode, in the Industrialcraft 2 experimental reactor planner, which is a Java program you can download. It's available on GitHub, and it simulates components in a reactor, and it will tell you if they break and such. I might have mentioned this before, I don't actually remember. But the layout is this, and this, and then this. And this layout is designed for dual cells, and it will also handle single cells, of course. And by dual cells, or rods, I mean these. So, and these are simply two single fuel rods crafted together with an iron plate. And the reason for doing this is, and if you don't know, cells that are, or fuel rods that are adjacent will provide a bonus to energy production. Now I don't remember the numbers exactly, but there is a small bonus for each adjacent cell. So this will produce a little extra because it's next to this one, and this one will produce a little extra because it's next to this one. So they kind of boost each other. And when you craft them together into a dual fuel rod, this item will take up a single slot, but it will act like two of these that are next to each other. So one of these will be equivalent to these as they are right here. It's not the same as if I were to put them like that. These will produce their normal fuel amount without any bonuses, like that. And of course, if you make two of these and put them where these are, they will behave as if there were four single rods that are all next to each other. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same as if I were to put a rod here and here, which would mean that they would give each other bonuses, but this one would not affect this one, and this one would not affect this one. I'm not sure if that's actually the case with the dual fuel rod, if you get that bonus as well, or if it's just the 8 bonuses in around like this. But anyway, this layout is is designed to, or I've tested it with dual fuel rods, and it can handle the heat output from those. I have not tested it with quadruple fuel rods, so I'm just going to do that quickly, and that does not work. Components start breaking. These and these three will break if you try to put quad fuel rods in here. That's not a good idea. Fortunately, I don't have any plans of doing that. Now, let's set this up. So I'm going to need this, and I don't want it in here. I found the fluid ejector upgrade, and I put it in here. So the reactor is now outputting any hot like it's supposed to. Let's head on in here. Alright. I need a gate. So I'll have to pop upstairs and get one. Now I'm probably going to want an advanced enough gate that I can put that it has a fluid filter. Let's see what I have. I have a gold AND gate. I think this has a fluid filter in it. So if we were to put this here, it does. Alright, so I can use this because I don't want it to detect cold coolant. I only wanted to check the hot coolant tank. I'm also going to need... No, wait, no I don't. I was going to say I would need some pipe wire to run along the pipe and another gate, but that's not the case because I'm going to be using the signal boxes, of course. So I might need a cell that contains hot coolant, though. So I'm going to put the gate on top here. And then we're going to say contains less than 75%. Well, I might want to invert that, actually. So I'm going to want a little bit of pipe wire. Let's chuck one of those in there and turn on the reactor for a bit, because I'm going to need some hot coolant for the filter. I hope a universal fluid cell will work. Not sure why this displays off, but whatever. I can turn that off. You can see the temperature is not increasing at all, which is good. The output tank is now filling up, which means I assume that this cell is full. Yes, so now we can shut the reactor down again. We'll grab this. So let's go upstairs again and see if we can find some pipe wire. So the last time I did this, I used 2 gates, and of course you don't need to do that. Right, pipe wire. Should have a bit in here. Here, I used 2 gates, but that's because they were both basic gates, which only had a slot each, or a trigger and action pair each. In this gold gate, which has 4 pairs, I can do it within a single gate. Because of how the gates work, which I'm going to show right now. So if you, this is an AND gate. So if you have 2 identical actions, like this, both of the triggers for the same actions need to be true for the action to enable. So, for example, if we say space in inventory and fluid in tank, we'll see that this is false because there is no fluid in the tanks. The tank is empty. But this is true because there's room for items in the inventory. But this is not activating the redstone signal because this needs to be true as well. If I remove this or set it to something else, then this is allowed to turn on the redstone signal. However, so now when the action is different, these two are separate. So this will only energy pulse when there is fluid in the tank, and the redstone signal will only be on when there is space in the inventory. Now, if there was an OR gate, that wouldn't matter. You could have the same action, but the pairs would still be separate. So what we want is let's see. Actually I don't need the redstone thing or wire thing. I could just do tank is full, I suppose. Then it's going to output a redstone signal. Then we want a controller box here, and a gate outputs in all directions from this block. It doesn't just output in the direction the gate is facing. So the gate doesn't have to be on this side to affect the signal controller box. Then we're going to want this. Actually, let's put it over here. So this is going to be the output that is going to connect to the reactor controller. So we're going to start a pairing there. Then we're going to go in here, and we're going to disable this for now, just to keep the reactor from turning on. So now, normally, the reactor would now be on, because this is receiving a green aspect. Oh my. From here. Then we want two receiver boxes. Now, we want one of the inputs. Ow. Ah, great. I'm going to want to move that because we're going to want the thermal monitor to output into the toggle latch, and the toggle latch is going to input into the box. Looks like the Enderman left, which is good. So if we put the latch underneath here, and we're going to want to have it so the input, one of the inputs is facing the thermal monitor, then it's going to output into the receiver box, which I'm going to put here. Oh wait, no, that's we want a controller here, of course, not a receiver. That would be silly. Then we're going to link that into the system in here. We're going to put a receiver box here and link it like that. And then we want another receiver box here, and we want to put that like there, like that. So now when this, right, I want to specify the filter here to, if we can. So if there is space for hot coolant, this will output a redstone signal. So by default we want this to be red, and when there is space for hot coolant, this will output green. So if either of these two go red, or start receiving a red signal, this will start outputting a red signal as well, which will shut down the reactor. So if there is no space for coolant, this will go red, and you can see this line is now red. And when that receives red, the reactor will shut down, which is exactly what we want. Let's run that through open to make sure the pipe is open, and then reset that. So now we can so this is working. So the thermal monitor, when the temperature goes above this number here, which is currently set to 1000, the signal is going to go high, and a high signal is going to toggle this, which will cause it to flip over to here. And this will cause this to output a red aspect, which will toggle the controller, which will output a red aspect to here, which will shut down the reactor. And to reset it, I just have to come down here and toggle this latch, which will make this go green again. So now we're going to test the fluid level shutoff by removing the fluid ejector upgrade from here and disconnecting this cable. So now this will be able to process a certain amount of, well, I suppose the cable can stay, really. it will be able to process hot coolant until this tank fills up. Then this tank will start filling up, and then once it's full, this should disengage, which should shut down the reactor. And hopefully there will still be some buildup in the or hopefully the tank in the reactor will not have time to fill up completely. So we're going to put this here, and it's going to output hot coolant. We're going to turn this on. So now this should be running. We can see it's outputting. And if we go here, we'll see there is coolant coming out. So this might take a little while for this to... Oh, it's already full. Right. That went quicker than I thought. Okay, so as you can see, this has stopped outputting a redstone signal, which has made this go red, which has made this go red. So the reactor should now be off. I finally stopped saying boiler. That's good. And we have no build-up here at all. So we might have some coolant. Yeah, there's some coolant slushing back and forth in the pipe. But that's fine. Don't really care about that. Now, the only thing left is to configure the shutoff. So, according to this, the maximum heat level is 10,000 heat units. Melting is 8,500, and this means that when the heat level reaches 8,500 units, blocks around the reactor will start to melt. Now, this isn't really an issue with a fluid reactor, because the it can't melt this casing, and there's nothing else except coolant around the reactor. So the only thing you really have to worry about is this number here, and you can increase this by putting plating, and there are some different types of plating. So you have reactor plating, heat capacity, and containment. So I don't remember exactly what this does. I think it might increase this number, or that's what this does. I know this containment reactor plating decreases the severity of the explosion should the reactor explode. So you can put these in to increase these numbers. But we don't really need that. For one, the reactor layout is stable, so it shouldn't ever explode, or the heat level should never go up below or above 0. But if it should ever reach the 5,000 mark, I want the reactor to switch off permanently as a failsafe, which should be well within the safe levels still. Now, I would like some indicator lights that indicates that the that the reactor is running. But I'm going to need some more boxes to be able to do that. But I would like a red light here and a green light here that would indicate, so the red light would be on when the reactor is running, and the green light would be on when it isn't. and I would like to use the cage lamps from Project Red to do that. But I'm going to do that sometime in the future. We can put this back in here now, and we will see that this will start processing again. Could still use 2 more heat conductors in here. I'll probably make those off camera. It's pretty simple. I don't think I'm going to need this anytime soon. The only time I'd really need this is when I run out of gasoline, when I run out of oil, and I'm going to have to use the reactor as my primary fuel source rather than a backup. But that is still quite a bit off. It looks like we actually have enough coolant to run the reactor. It does seem to have enough to go around, but I am going to input the rest of it anyway, because why not? It's not like it's very useful without the reactor. So we currently have quite a bit. To input as much as possible. Maybe I should disengage the return here so it stops filling up. Then the hot side will fill up. For a bit. It is running right now. I would also like a warning signal to be connected to this, so when the redstone signal is on this side and this is off, I would like an alarm to sound upstairs in my workshop so I can tell when the failsafe has engaged. Still annoying that I can't input these cells for some reason. It's not outputting a lot of heat, really. But it's going to, the output is going to more than double, of course, once I replace these with double cells or double fuel rods. And I intend to do that as soon as these have run out, because I can't upgrade, I can't combine these, I don't think. It shut off, probably because the tank here filled up. Yeah. Let's do I have a lever? I don't seem to have a lever. That would have been handy. Let's say if redstone signal is on. Redstone signal should be on. And then we're going to let this output a little, and that should turn this. No? Alright. So if this, there we go. So now it should be permanently on if I do that. This is not opening. Right, so I'm going to continue doing this off camera because we have reached the end point, and this is probably pretty boring to watch anyway. So I will see you in the next episode.
Dos, tres.